Today we're showing you all about making more. How do you divide perennials and how do you do it properly? How do you replant them and make sure that they're going to get the great start that they need? If you've removed really large clumps, one of the easiest ways to divide them before you start the smaller dividing is to take two garden forks, place them back to back, pierce it into the clump and then pull them apart from each other. And that way you remove the roots without damaging any plants and breaking them off. That's why a spade is never ever used in this process. Now that we've dug out our agapanthus or whichever perennial we're dividing, it's time to get down and dirty. This is the fun part. So we've got a clump of our agapanthi, is the correct word, and we can call them agapanthuses as if we want to as well. So the trick now is to get rid of as much soil as you can that's attached to them. The easiest way to do it is to simply grab the clump and bash it down on the table. I much prefer working on a table surface whenever you're doing any kind of gardening activities. Why? It's ease of use. It saves breaking your back and you can really get to see what you're doing. Now, if you've removed them and they've been in a really heavy soil, it's going to be quite difficult to pull them apart. So instead of pulling them apart, which instinctively we would want to do, this is sometimes what happens. So you grab an agapanthus, you try and divide it, and look what happens. You pull it, you break it off with not too many roots. Worst case scenario, you're pulling at it, that happens, you really got no roots. And the other scenario is this. Either way, those are the incorrect ways to do it. Now that we've got off most of the soil, the next step you're going to do is as follows. Take a pair of secateurs, and you are going to remove most of the leaf surface. Now, this might seem quite cruel, but actually, there's a saying, it's cruel to be kind. So what's happening now is we, A, making it easier for us to see what we're doing, and B, when we do transplant, what we're doing is we're reducing the transplant stress. So all of this leaf mass that would normally be transpiring, taking in the light, turning into chlorophyll, is going to be removed. So we're taking away the stress factor on these little guys. And the next thing we do is we turn it sideways and we do the same to the bottom. Remember, what you do to the top of a plant when transplanting, you want to do to the bottom. So take your secateurs again, and all we do is we prune off a lot of these long, gangly guys, which we don't need. And some of you might have had some experience in transplanting where you end up with roots like this long and you've got to dig a really big hole to get them in. Some of you even start folding the roots. Not cool, okay? So what we do is to make your life a whole lot easier is we prune away these long guys. Once again, it's doing the same thing. It's reducing the transplant stress. Once we've done that, put them aside and have a trug handy and we can clear our surface. And of course, all of this good stuff can get put straight onto the compost heap. Now it's looking a whole lot more manageable. Yeah, from this big bunch of unwild, ruly thing, this looks way easier. So this is where we take our beautiful weeding tool and all we do is pop it on its side and feed it in and then simply pull it back. So feed it in and then making sure that your thumb and fingers are out the way, pull it back towards you in some sharp movements directly towards you, keeping it nice and parallel with your surface that you're working on. And by doing that, all you do is you are cutting through it. Look how easy that is. And we've already cut through a whole bunch. You want to do that a few times, working your way in, pulling towards you, cutting it back. There we go. And already I got two big bunches. From one, I've got two. And it just goes on and on. Grab it, pop it in, and pull it back. The more we do that, oh, baby, look at that. I've now got 1, 2, 3. And you can see here are my nice shoots. The roots are evenly proportioned. I can even prune away a few extra bits here. And when you get down to smaller bunches like this, I suggest you take your pair of secateurs and you want to work with leaving about 2 of these little stems, all right? Down to 1 is a bit overzealous. So then you simply take your pair of secateurs and you prune it right through. There we go. And that is a perfectly divided little agapanthus that is now ready to go. Once I've divided this entire clump, remember this is one clump from my garden, I am probably going to end up with about 40 little agapanthi to be able to plant into my garden. We've prepared the soil by adding in a bag of compost per square meter, 2 handfuls of bone meal, and 2 handfuls of bioorganic Atlantic fertilizer. When planting your little agapanthus, always remember to work on about 15 to 20 centimeters apart. That's going to give you enough time for it to grow for the next season, also to be able to flower. And when you're planting, try and plant in a triangular format. And that way, it doesn't end up looking like rows and rows and rows. Straight rows ain't so cool. All right, guys, so all that's left to do is to stand back and watch your babies grow. You've given them the food, you've divided them, and what an inexpensive way of bulking up your garden, sharing your plants and creating new garden beds. Remember, with just a few tools and a little skill, which is all available from your local builders. If you enjoyed this clip, like it, share it, and you can also subscribe to our YouTube channel for more gardening tips.